Introduction of Daoism and Daoist studies, and especially the programs we are teaching in the Lao Daoist College. And if you have any questions, please write them down, and at the end of this presentation or of this webinar, we're going to have a Q&A, so questions can be asked at the end. And I'm going to share a screen, and I hope that is working well. So you can also use, if there's sound problems or something like this, you can just write in the chat, and I'm going to see whether, so let's see whether this is sharing. Okay, so first of all, I hope you can still see me and the screen shared. Okay, so we are going to introduce the Daoist College first. So this is a Lao College webinar, and we are having a introduction of Daoism and Daoist practices today. And the Lao Daoist College is the first Dao college recognized by the Daoist Association in China, 中道协, 中国道德协会. And we teach Daoist studies, practices and traditional culture. And recently we started, not recently, at the beginning of the pandemic, we started to teach online courses and webinars. So a lot of students all around the world joined our courses. We have around 30 to 50 students, long-term, short-term students, in several courses over these years, and more are starting with our study programs. So today we are going to introduce also a little bit of the upcoming courses. So let me show the next one. So I introduce myself first. I'm Daoist Liu. Most of you probably saw something of me, otherwise how you get into this on the internet, on Facebook or other website. My Daoist title is Liu Chengyong. I'm the 24th generation inheritor of the Trenden Nomen Pai, and the 40th generation Trenden Gaogong is the high priest. So I received initiation as the 40th generation high priest and officially recognized in the community. So also beside the Trenden school, I also inherit the 31st generation of the Wudang Qingwei Pai. This is a Zhengyi lineage, and it's called the Zhengyi Sanshan Di Xue Shou Pai. It's also a branch of the Thunder school. Maybe some of you might know Zhang Shouqing is the patriarch, also resided at the Wudang Shan many years ago. And I'm also 16th generation master disciple of the Wudang Xuanwu Pai, and the president of the German Daoist Association, chairman of the German Wudang Daoist Association, and the headmaster of the Yuzhongguan Dao Temple and Lao College. Besides that, there is also other things I do. I do consulting for several Daoist associations all around the world. We are producing, or I'm an author and a writer for our own publishing. The German Daoist Association publishes, over the past 3 years, we published over 15 books. And yesterday and the day before yesterday also published 2 books. And all is related to Daoist studies. So yesterday there is a publication of Daoist ritual music with notations. So it's a lot of work we are doing over the past years. During the pandemic, we focus more on the online and on the teaching of students. So I have several disciples here in Germany who are learning the Daoist ceremonies and also a lot of Daoist practices from myself, and first-hand transmission. And also the students, online courses, they learn and practice at home. I hope they come here also to study at the local school, so we can have more students visit here and practice here for long term or short term. The master you see here on the photo is Ren Zhongquan. He's one of the 8 biggest or highest or most valued masters in China as a Gaogong. He's teaching for 30 to 40 years already, and he's one of the most respected Daoist masters in China, and I'm very fortunate that he accepted me as a disciple over 10 years ago. And since then I'm also learning or study the Daoist ceremonies, Daoist music. He's very famous for inherited a lot of the knowledge from the old masters. For example, the Shouyin, here you see a photo of him teaching me some Shouyin hand seals, and also Daoist music. So without him, there's a lot of Daoist music would not be available today, because he did many years of research and brought everything back to this original notation. The second master here on the middle photo you see is called Ke Wu Ming Dao Zhang. He is the master who taught me in Talisman. Is a very famous master from the Wudang Qingwei Pai lineage, and also teaching internal practices, Daoist medicine or spiritual medicine. I inherited a lot of knowledge from him, and I'm also very fortunate to have met him also almost 10 years ago. The third photo here is actually a photo of my Baishi, what I actually never shared before in the Wudang Xuanwu Pai. This is many years ago. I don't really remember what year this was, but I look very young in this photo, so it's probably also over 10 years. And this boy here, actually in the photo, he was like under 10, maybe 8 years in this photo, maybe 9. I recently, when I visit China, visit my Shifu in the Dadaguan, he was studying there, and he's already very grown up as a man already. And he probably coming to Germany to stay in the Yujianguan for some time. That's a very good story. I met him just recently. So this is actually my Shifu is Zhou Li Can, is a Xuanwu, 15th generation of the Xuanwu master, and he inherited a lot of knowledge to me as well. So I want to share some of the photos and tell a little bit of some stories, maybe if you like to hear. So here you see me, this is about 10 years ago when the Dadaguan is a Daoist college where I studied for the past 10 years. And this was when it's just opening. And the renovation or actually the construction finished only a few months here. And we did the first few ceremonies here. You see me standing here and being part of this Gaogong or this ceremonial team. And here is another ceremony. This is about half year later. There is already a little bit more better setup. Not only one table here, you see it's just one table. But a Daoist priest doesn't need a lot of things. Here you see it's also a very simple setup, but the Daoist priest is actually the only necessity to do an altar and do the worshipping, because all the items used or needed he can just produce in the moment of the ceremony. So here is also a ceremony. Some of my brothers, most of them I know for 10-15 years. And here is just some recent photos of a couple months ago also in Wuhan. This is a temple in Wuhan. It's called the Wushengong, Wushen Miao. And here's also a ceremony I did during the Qingming festival for blessing. Here is also a photo in the yellow, what you see here in the left lower corner, this is also at the Dalaguan Daoist College, where we do the morning ceremony in the good weather, doing it outside. There's an outside altar, and here I play one of those instruments. It's called the Nao and Bo. Here's the counterpart to this. So this is actually a difficult instrument to play. For the most of the students starting, they never touch this because it's quite difficult to play. But over the time, it's get used to it. Here is a photo where I look like a teenager. This is also some of my brothers and the shifu of the Wudang Xuanwu. Here is actually in Wudang, Nam Wudang, Wushen Gong. This is Wushen Miao, and here is Wushen Gong. This is what I just mixed up. So here, these photos from recently is in Wuhan, and this is at the mountain of the Nam Wudang, Daoist. So here is also maybe 10 years ago, over 10 years maybe. This photo of ceremony. Here is also the 14th generation grandmaster is Yoshun. Maybe some of you already heard of him. Also joining the ceremony. And here we do also like a festival ceremony for a lot of people, for blessings. Here's me also practicing sword in front of or in the inside yard. This is actually also like a school where you not get in. It's not a martial arts school like you see in Wudangshan. You don't get in there. You just you need to be a disciple to go there and practice. And here's me teaching some of the children. Actually, the second one here is the boy what I just referred to, and some of these kids, they are already grown up, like bigger and taller than me, and you will not recognize them if you see them now. And it's really like a family. I mean, you see now here's hard training. That's quite normal for students and disciples in this school, in the Wudang Xuanwu. Hard training during the day, and also hard work on studying. So I studied there for many years and also taught a lot of students. I just choose this photo because I think it's quite interesting, like a foreign Kung Fu master is teaching the disciples in the Wudang temple. And maybe it's also kind of good memory, for me at least. I want to shortly introduce our college, Yuzhenguan, the Dao Temple. Here is the temple hall, and in this photo you see there is an altar room. Actually, it's quite big. It's for the daily ceremonies and bigger ceremonies, or when we have audience, we do on this ground here. So also the college, we have classrooms, and here you see some of the students of the Dao College practicing the morning ceremony. Actually, I see Lawrence is here also. And very interesting because most of them, they practice martial arts, and anytime you could ask them to perform a form. Actually, these two disciples, my long-term disciple, this one here is Xindan. She already, and here you see a photo of her, she already studied with me for like for almost 4 years, 3.5, 4 years. She's very good at martial art and also studied the Daoist ceremony. So anytime she can join the ceremony, anytime she can perform her Kung Fu things, and it's a very good character. And also here you see a photo is some people, because we usually don't do a lot of photos during the ceremonies. Sometimes we have a person who is helping us to do some photos, but here we just have a little photo during the ceremony. This is also, I think, half year ago maybe. And what is very special, we are the first Daoist temple in Europe, and we also grow the tea. So maybe, or the Daoist college, sorry, I said the first Daoist temple, but there's other Daoist temples, maybe smaller ones or bigger ones, however. but we are the first one who also grow the tea, and the students can also pick the tea. And recently we just started this tea season and picking the tea for a couple days already. Now there's new growth, so a couple days later we can do another picking. This is also very interesting. So okay, we start with our actual topic. So what is Daoism is the major topic for today. So we have a lot of knowledge going around, and before we talk about the details, I would always recommend not to read articles on the internet, or not too much, but also read books. The problem is with translations, there's a lot of half knowledge also in the books, but at the end you can also ask people who are more professional, and you probably get a correct or good answer. So what is Daoism? In China, so where Daoism was created or developed, the religion and philosophy is not separated. So in the West we tend to separate the religion and the philosophy. So many people, they understand the philosophy, maybe the idea of religion is too low for them, so they don't want to get into this kind of things. But since ancient times, many generations before Lao Tzu, I need to clear this up first of all, because recently there is a lot of comments and misunderstandings in the internet and our Facebook groups. So long time before Lao Tzu even wrote the Tao Te Ching, there was this Daoist religion and Daoist philosophy created and developed over the years, and there was worshipping and ceremonies, ritual, music, and all these kind of things. They're deeply rooted in the culture, and therefore it is not it's unseparable. So we don't separate religion and philosophy usually in the Chinese culture. So if you recognize the one, you automatically recognize the other one, because they are both the same. And without the philosophy, the religion is not it's not as deep or as sophisticated as it is, and the other way around. So the Daoism is not only philosophy and religion, but also a view on the world. So in German I would use the world views, so how we look at the world from the eyes of a Daoist or of the Daoist idea. It is a culture and a lifestyle. Lifestyle sounds a very modern word, but in the Daoist communities all around the world, they have a specific lifestyle, right? So they tend to have a specific thing going on. So this is the Daoist lifestyle, what we would call. If we go back to the first point here, what is Daoism? So in very early development, or very early time in Chinese history, where we have the Yellow Emperor, who created very important books, and those books are called the Huangdi Neijing or the Yin Fu Jing. These are the most known in the West, because they were translated. And the key point here is that there is translations available in English or in Western languages the mass can read and understand. So many people, they know there's a Tao Te Ching, because very early in the time, 100 years ago, people start to translate this into Western languages. And Zhuangzi and Huangdi Neijing, because the Daoist medicine or the Chinese medicine. A lot of people now can also start reading scriptures, what we translated, morning, evening liturgy, and all these kind of things. But it's getting slowly, so you need to understand that 100 years ago, not everybody know what is the Tao Te Ching, right? But nowadays, everybody probably 80% of the people, they heard of this book. And that's why in the West we know more of this philosophical idea of Taoism is only because the language barrier. So if everybody would read and speak Chinese in the West, everybody would understand. There is no difference between the religion and the philosophy. Maybe some people, they practice less the religion part, but they recognize it still, you know. And all the customs in Chinese for the New Year, the calendar, all these kind of things, they all rooted in the Daoist culture. So that's why we say it's the culture. And when we look at the beginning of the Daoist calendar, for example, the moment where the first, or the day where the calendar was created or developed, it's also done by ritual and worshipping. So, and this is much earlier than the Warring State time, or you know, the Three Kingdoms and so on. It's much earlier. It's the beginning of the Daoist calendar. Is over 4,700 years ago. So, in that time there is this Huangdi, and he had an enemy. It's called the Chiyou, and they had a fight, a war. There were two tribe leaders, and they fought against each other, and there was bloodshedding, and a lot of people died. So at the end, the Huangdi, he wanted to help his people, and all the medicine didn't work. So he started to fasting and to worshipping, and then the legend is like this: that the 10 heavenly stamps, the 10 heavenly stamps and the 12 earth branches, these are characters, and they have a specific meaning. And in the Daoist idea, they are also spirits, right? Because everything in the Daoist idea, in the Daoist worldview, everything is a spirit. Everything has a soul. The trees, the water, the rivers, the animals, the stone, the mountain, everything has a soul. Everything has a spirit. The stars, especially the planets, because everything has an effect on the human being, on the human, and every being is connected. And now we do a big jump from the Huangdi, but this is how the legend is. The 10 heavenly stamps, and the 12 earthly branches, they descend to the earth, and the Huangdi placed them in a specific order. Then he was able to heal his people, or the people. This is the legend, and this is how the 10 heavenly stamps and 12 earthly branches, which are very important for the Daoist culture, everything is based on these things. They came to be. So going back to the sentence I just mentioned, what we believe in, a lot of books write the Daoists, they like the nature, they respect the nature. This is a very general way of saying it. So when we say the religion, the philosophy, everything is based on this. Yeah. When we do worship to some deities, for example, we ask for blessing, we ask for protection, and so on. It's because we believe that these deities are the same spirit like we are. We just have a different appearance. So let's take one example. So we have the spirit of the stars, and there is several spirits or several stars. Let's call them stars, or Shen. In Chinese, it's called the Shen. Shen is spirit, but also the same character means God or gods. So this is why this idea or this philosophy or this worldview is so deeply rooted in the culture, even in the language. It's very important to know that. So when we look at the at the effect of the planets around us. The moon, for example, has a huge effect on us. Every 28 days, the moon phases go at 28 days, yeah, and it has a very big effect on the beings on the earth, on the plants, on the animals, on the humans. And also the sun. Without the sun, we would not be able to grow crops, for example. Yeah, we need the energy. We are living with the moon and the sun every day. They have a big effect on us. So the Taoists believe that they have a spirit. Why is like this? Because we all come from this one thing. In Daoism, in the Dao De Jing also, right, it's Dao Sheng Yi, Yi Sheng Er, Er Sheng San, San Sheng Wang Wu. The Dao give birth to the one give birth to the two give birth to the three, and the three give birth to the myriad things. So if we look at from the modern perspective, we see, okay, there is a thing what created the universe. Yeah, maybe we call this the Big Bang, is the one, yeah, from the one point. But what created this one point is the Tao. We cannot know because we cannot look behind that, right? So we believe that the Tao is the creator of everything, but it doesn't interfere with us. So it's different than other religions. We don't say like, oh, please Tao, help me to do this. The Tao doesn't make a difference between good and bad. That's why in the 8th chapter of the Tao Te Ching, it says the water is the highest good in the world. It means actually that the water is the closest thing to Tao, because it doesn't make a difference between the good and the bad people, or the good being and bad being, the yin and yang, because it feeds both the saint and the devil, or the evil. Yeah, it feeds all the things. So if we understand this idea, yeah, there is this dual system we live in, and we always make a difference between day and night, right? So inhale, exhale, all this is yin yang. But the Tao accepts both as one. So there is this circle symbol which is called the Wuji. Wuji is the stage before the Taiji. Taiji is actually the two yin yang, where it's already separate. So Wuji means the original chaos, or Hunyuan. Hunyuan Yi Qi is the breath or the ether or etheric soul of the original chaos. So when we look at this, we are part of this myriad things. So when we are coming from all the things the same root, then it's easier to understand that the tree has the same spirit, or is the same part of this origin as we are. So that's why Taoists, they give these spirits a face, a human face, a human appearance. Yeah, they do a statue or a painting of this deity, of the mountains or of the sea or whatever deity. They give them a human appearance because to make this connection, to give them the same face or the same appearance we have, and understand that there is a connection between these. So there's deities in the Taoist religion. There is also immortals. Immortals we call people who are enlightened or who realize the Tao. Today we don't want to talk too much about how to realize Tao, but to understand more of this root or the idea of Taoism, we want to introduce Taoism today to everyone. So in this life, in this universe, period of this universe, there is people, and in the past 2000 years, maybe we can also read the historical records of these people who are recorded to be realized people, or realized beings. They are not a god who already lived through all these circles of universes opening, birth and death of these circles, but they are actually realized practitioners who are probably cultivated for many years and then realized Tao. Therefore they became immortal. Most of the immortals we know nowadays are spiritual immortals, so there is practices they can everybody can learn. Everybody, through hard practice, they can do it. Everyone can do that. Can make their spirit immortal, so the spirit can appear anywhere they want. And some practitioners are even known that they can make them appear to human beings, to normal people. So they are like materialized there. These spirits or ghosts, or however you want to call these spirits, realized people, realized souls, they mostly can appear or can be seen by people who already opened the third eye. Some people, they are born with this gift. Some people, they need to practice, and most of the people don't know how to practice and cultivate that. So this is also a little bit background idea of why there is gods and immortals, and why we give them a human face. It's very simple, because we want to make a connection with them. We want to see that we are actually coming from the same root. So the deity of the earth, deity of the mountain, deity of the sea, they are all spirits. And because we respect the nature, we respect these spirits, we respect the Shen, the gods, or Shen, the souls, we worship them and we thank them. We thank them on the special occasions. This is not far away from the philosophy of Daoist philosophers, because the idea of respect and virtue is deeply rooted also in the Daoist philosophy. So to say one more sentence about this, the culture, Daoist culture in China, there's more people, or many people, they more is the wrong word. There's many people, they practice more of the philosophy. They read probably books, or being more like a scholar. Also in the West, basically, there's much more people who practice Daoism as a scholar. But there's many million Daoist practitioners. They are priests, they are nuns, they are monks, they are Daoist practitioners who do ceremonies, rituals, and also Daoist practices where you use spiritual techniques, doing talisman and spiritual healing and so on. So there's basically multiple roots of the Daoism or Daoist religion, what we see today, or the philosophy we see today. There is also the culture, the development from ancient times, from over 4,000 or 5,000 years ago. The people from 5,000 years ago, they don't have astronomical tools to see where we go. Of course, this is all developed during the time of studying the world, studying the nature, looking at the stars, and finding practice and cultivate whatever they needed to do to survive, to build a culture. Also, the Bagua is based on this idea, the natural phenomena. And what resulted in all these developments over the years is the Daoist lifestyle, what we see nowadays. There is a lot of, just recently I see actually a Daoist practitioner. We often laugh about this because this is like some stuff we probably wouldn't wear, but I also have some sweatshirts with a talisman printed on there. And there's somebody in a couple days ago, they created a beach towel with a lot of talisman on there, and they wanted to give us also some, and sent to my Shifu's temple and so on. So this is what we see nowadays. There's a lot of things people use in modern times. They are based on Daoist culture. If it's customs, day-to-day things, let's have a look what we what I also prepare. So what we have is here we can see, I think you can also see that, is the 5 arts in Daoism. It's called the Wushu, the 5 arts. We have mountain or shan, medicine, yi, divination is called the bu, and physical inspection is called the xiang, and the destiny is called the ming. So all the Daoist practices are divided or can be separated or can be divided into all these 5 arts. So medicine is easy to understand, right? So this is why we start with the medicine. The art of medicine refers to the study and practice of traditional Chinese medicine, which is actually traditional Chinese medicine is rooted in Daoist medicine. And nowadays a lot of people, they don't know this spiritual medicine part, so they only use like physical inspection or physical techniques, you know, to use the acupuncture, Daoist medicine, the tuina, the herbal medicine, and so on. But actually there is in this traditional Chinese medicine, that's why I like to call it actually modern Chinese medicine, because all these traditional parts, the important spiritual, or the important part is missing, or one part is missing, is the spiritual medicine. Because it's very simple. A spiritual or a mental disease cannot be treated with physical medicine. It needs to be treated with spiritual medicine. So spiritual methods. It's very simple. So the E, or this part of the 5 arts, this art, E, medicine, is focusing on health, Yangsheng, and the method of curing illness and diseases and physical diagnosis. But actually what we have missing here and the spiritual medicine. So Daoist medics, they not only use the physical medicine but also spiritual medicine. For example, spiritual energy or energy transmission, and also ceremonies and rituals to help these sick people. There is ceremonies or rituals where you use talisman, for example, where you use symbols or rituals where you find back the soul of the people, expel from the evil. There is a lot of apiao. Apiao is like kind of evil, can be sitting in everyone if they let them in. So very good practitioner, or very good Daoist medic, they know both the spiritual and the physical medicine. So, and because this is the easy part to understand, is a medicine, right? So we started with this. So we go back to the first one, mountain and shan. Shan means mountain, actually. You can understand that on the mountain there is the Daoists, they practice several things, and this is why it is called shan. The art of mountain refers to the practices that strengthen the body and the mind through various methods such as diet, meditation, and here I also put something, let's say martial arts first. So this is actually to strengthen the body and make it strong, Yangsheng. But then there is also part of the shan is also ceremonies, like the ceremonies we do, the worshipping and talisman practice and rituals. And because a lot of people, they don't know too much about these parts, today I want to introduce a little bit more of these 3 things, the ceremonies, talisman, and also the rituals, and also internal arts. We'll come to this in a moment. And the shan, or the mountain method, or the mountain art, the shanshu, They include talisman practice. Why? Because they learn this in the temples. Maybe this is also how you can remember this. Why it's a part of the Shan or the mountain art. And the worshipping is also, or worship and ceremonies, they are very important. Scripture practices, for example, we practice scriptures and do the worshipping on a daily basis, and rituals to cultivate the body and the mind. So when I do internal art or internal rituals, like let's say an incantation, incantations are like magical formulas. I practice and recite internally the incantation and do the ritual every day. This strengthens my body. This gives me, like you would practice Qigong, right? Qigong is also a method of the 5 arts. But just reciting the scriptures or reciting incantation and practice on a daily basis, this is the same like a Qigong. You cultivate energy, you cultivate Qi, Shen Qi, the divine energy. So, yeah, let's talk about this a little bit in a moment. Let's go further in this list. We have divination, and this is called the Bu art, the art of divination. The art of divination manifests the 3 main methods: is fortune telling, date selection or auspicious date selection. We also need to know what dates are not so fortunate, so this is also very important. And the analysis of the cosmic flow of energy. So what is, when you see somebody do this on the gua, it's called the gua, doing this this kind of ritual, there is some stick flying out, and there is a hexagram on there. This is a 64 hexagram. It's a Zhou Yi Gua. So the 61 hexagram is from the book of I Ching. The I Ching is actually one of the major books to study when you want to study the divination, and this is a very complex topic. So I don't want to talk too much today about this. Otherwise, we are only talking about divination. There is some courses I teach also about this, and also teach how to practice this or I Ching. About the courses we can talk also in a moment. So there is also something what we call the Liu Yao, and this is not so well known in the West. This probably many people already saw. This kind of sticks flying out when you do the worshipping. But then there is something what we call Liu Yao. We use 3 coins for this, and Liu Yao means 6 shakes. So there is actually, in ancient times, they use, or nowadays they still use, they use a real turtle shell where the turtle already died, and the shell is empty, and they place these 3 coins inside there and shake it, and then now one falling down, of course, here, and then you have like 3 coins here. They give you a specific reading. This is also part of the divination. This is called the Liu Yao, or the 6 shakings, and from this reading you can see you do it 6 times. Why? Because the hexagram has 6 lines, and therefore you can see which line, every shake, every time you throw this 3 coins, there is a specific reading you can read in there, which tells us what kind of line this is, or if the line can be changed, and so on. So this is a very general introduction of this. There is much more to know about that, but it's maybe not so well known in the West. It's called the Liu Yao, and this is also part of the divination. because we ask also the deities or the nature or the spirits to give us a direction, and only after very good study of the book of I Ching you will be able to understand and also can read these Gua. The next is the physical inspection. It's called the Xiang or Mian Xiang. Mian Xiang is the face inspection. There is also Shen Xiang, Shou Xiang, 舌头, 眼睛, and so on. The eyes and the tongue, the hand. The study of physical appearance refers to the study of the physical form and physical inspection of an individual. What does this mean is there is, through study of the people, through study and generations of masters study and writing down all these details, you can read in somebody's face, the shape, how the bones are, how the shape of the face is, how high the forehead is, and so on. You can see the specific characteristics and so much more on this. I'm not an expert on this, I have to say. I learned a little bit many years ago. Also the hand reading. You can see in the details of the face whether this person is going to marry or when it's going to marry, and if they are getting rich, and when they get disease and what disease, and all this type of knowledge. In the hand, this is, like I said, I'm not an expert in this. There is also reading. I can tell you a few things, but very good reading if there is a cross, and if it's crossing in the palm, then you have a connection to religious practices or spiritual practices. So everybody of you can also look in your hand if there is a cross or X shape, and the deeper it is, the deeper your connection is to the spiritual practice. So this is called the shizi. It's a cross, or the 10. 10 is like a cross in the Chinese characters. So in the xiang or mian xiang is looking at the face, or shou xiang, or the appearance of the body. A lot of masters, they can read the whole life and the future life. So there's another kind of part, or another role of this we use in the diagnosis of the medicine. Right? We look at the tongue or the appearance or the look of the eye, and the appearance of the whole body. So this is also very important to know that there's interconnecting parts in these 5 arts. Right? Like I just said, in the Daoist medicine, we use spiritual medicine. They are based on talisman, which is part of the shan or the mountain art. So the 5th art is the art of destiny, or Ming. Swamming, we call swamming. And this art of destiny refers to the study of the fate calculation, like Bazi or Qimendunjia, and there's a lot of other forms. Bazi is probably most known to the West. It's called the 8 characters. The 8 characters, this is like the Chinese birth horoscope, and from the birth year, the month, the day, and the birth time, we have 8 or 4 pillars with each 2 characters. So 2 characters, and this is called the 8 characters, Bazi. And through these 8 characters, we can read the past and the future. Actually, this is where I also have more experience, and some of my students, they also start learning Bazi, and I can read people's life in and out basically only on these characters. So I can also read what is your home look like. I can read whether there is surroundings, what surroundings there is, because the Bazi, if you are a human being and you want to live in a very harmonious life, in a very harmonious environment, this is a very natural thing. So you always strive to the harmony. Every being, actually. So we want to have a harmonious environment to live in. So when you live longer than 3 years in one place, this is like the number 3 years live in one place, then this place, this surrounding is also harmonizing with yourself. So you can read in the Bazi, when you're born at one place, this place looks like what, and if you move somewhere else, if you live there longer for 3 years, it's much more look like your home, or general appearance, not everything, but you know, the environmental marks or special things there, they can read in the Bazi. So Bazi also can read where and when you're going to have, or what time, what day actually exactly you're gonna have accidents, for example, or you're gonna have trouble with the police, or you're gonna have good wealth. And if an expert reading your Bazi, they can also recommend to you on what date, you know, invest some money, or what to invest in and what not to do. And this is why a lot of Chinese people in China, they go for important things, for example, wedding or opening of a business. They go to find a Suanming, Ming Shi. Ming Shi is actually the master is called the master who's calculating the fate calculation. Yeah, this Ming, destiny master, we can call it in English. So in the Bazi, you can read what to avoid and what to do and when to do it. This is a very good way of knowing the general direction. I've heard people also say, I don't want to know everything about my future. I like the risk, and I like to see my life as a video game. So if I know the game in and out, then it's boring to play. Yeah, okay, this is one way to see and look at it. But if you know when to avoid certain things to have a better life, and what to do when to have a better life, this is also like a special portion or a special item you find in your game, right? So why not using that? This is all based on many years of development and knowledge and experience. And there is a lot of things nowadays people cannot understand why it's like this. And the Bazi is actually based only on the 10 heavenly stems and the 12 earthly branches, because they together make a 60-day circle. The 60-day or 60 months, 60 years circle. And this is a very good way of studying the fate when we start studying the Tiangang Dizhi, the 10 heavenly stems and 12 earthly branches. Okay. I probably could talk much more about each of these, and I should talk more about the mountain and So yeah, we said we want to talk more about the Daoist ceremonies and rituals today. And the Daoist ceremonies and rituals, the daily practices, they are based on our morning and evening liturgy, the noon ceremonies, or morning and evening ceremony, the noon ceremonies, and the Bai Dao ceremony. It's also called the Yue Ke, because it's monthly. I will go into details about this in a moment. And the Gaogong ceremonies. So, morning and evening liturgy, and some of you already started studying with me. We have daily morning and evening liturgy, like this one, 早晚功课经. And here, this scripture is actually also include the English translation. This one here, and we just 2 days ago I published the second edition with corrections and all these kind of things. And this one also include the Chinese and pinyin, so we can use the original language, because some of the practices like incantations, they have the most benefit when they are used in the original language, because the sounds is the keys. And when we go back to all the beginning, what is Daoism and what is Daoist practice? The Daoist practice recognize the yin yang, the wu xing, the yin yang, the taiji, yin and yang, the 5 elements, the wu xing, which is very, very important also for the Bazi basically, and the Bagua, 64卦, the Bagua, the 8 trigrams, and the 64 hexagrams. They are very important for those practices. For the internal practices, most of the time we only look at the yin yang, 5 elements, and the Bagua sometimes. And just I mentioned, it's also the 10 heavenly stems and the 12 earthly branches. So all these, only that's simple. This is like the theory we need to understand when we want to practice the Daoist methods. So the 5 elements play a very important role in the Daoist ceremonies. Why is that? Because the sounds. The 5 elements, they are connected to sound, to color, to taste, smell, organs, to the planets surrounding us, to the nature. The 5 elements are actually called the wuxing, the 5 transformations, because they are not fixed elements, but they are transforming and moving all the time, and they are alive, not fixed like in the Greek philosophy. We have water, air, fire, and water, air, fire, and whatnot. Earth, right? Is it Earth? Probably it's Earth. And in Chinese philosophy or in the Daoist culture, we use the seasons are also connected to the 5 elements. Is the wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. So these are actually giving birth to each other, but also controlling each other. For example, fire, wood give birth to fire. It's very simple. We use wood to make fire, and then fire gives birth to earth. Earth is also like ash, right? So after the fire is burned, everything is like part of the ash and the earth. So this is how we can also understand. In the earth we have metals, so earth gives birth to the metal. And when you see when your car in the morning, is made of metal, right? In the morning there's water on there. Or if you put a piece of iron outside in the morning, there's water on there. So the metal gives birth to water. This is also part of physical or chemical process, but in general we have this philosophy of the 5 elements. And the 5 sounds, they are the key to the Daoist ceremony. So, or Daoist music, for example. When we use the 5 sounds, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, it's called the si. It's the 7 sounds, but there's 2 half sounds in between. So, do, re, mi, fa, sol. Do, re, mi, sol, la. This is the 5 sounds. Fa and si, they are the middle sounds. So this is actually 7 sounds in total, but we are base our notation on the 5 sounds. So when we are doing the reciting of the scriptures, there is also a tone. We do the reciting or the chanting or the singing the melodies, and this over the time, maybe not at the beginning, maybe after a couple of weeks of practice, you're gonna feel there is energy starting building up in your body, and doing the ritual is actually giving you energy, like a qigong practice. This is what I mentioned before. This is also why this is part of the Shan art, the mountain art, because it is developing energy and health, a healthy body and mind. So spiritual practice, we can also use this word. We can also use the scripture, reciting and chanting scriptures to do this. It's like a qigong practice. When we are in the morning, when we are finished with our liturgy, we are full of energy and can start the day very good. So there's of course differences between the different ceremonies and liturgy. I will mention, or I will introduce this in a moment. But basically the fundamental idea of reciting scriptures is, first of all, to practice Dao. A Daoist honors the three treasures, which is Dao, Jing, and Shi. Dao as the Dao, all of the creation, the creator of all beings, the root of all things. Then Jing, the scriptures, is because the Dao is within the scriptures, and Shi, the master who is teaching us the scriptures, transmitting us the Dao. So we are very Daoist honors these three treasures very much. So every day in the morning liturgy, in the morning ceremony, we do a ritual and bow in front of these three treasures. It's called the Sangui, taking the three refuges. Taking refuge in the three treasures, or what we call the Sambao, is the first step to become a Daoist. How to do this? A Gui ritual is taking refuge into a specific thing. We can do here in the Daoist temple. A lot of Dao friends also did this long distance. You just need basically your name, and also there's a Gui Zheng. I don't have it right now beside me, but here's one. But this is from Wudangshan. This is actually my Gui Yizheng from Wudang Mountains many years ago. Gui Yi is taking refuge into this tradition, and this is how we start our Daoist journey or Daoist practices. So every day a Daoist is reciting this Sangui, or chanting and doing the bowing ritual. Bowing down is also a very important practice for the ceremonies. Bowing down is actually also a health activity, like you would do yoga activities, right? We are bowing down, getting up multiple times during the morning and evening ceremonies. Every ceremony basically has this bowing ritual. Bowing as a worship or as a practice is, first of all, respecting or showing respect, showing that we are humble, and this is a very important part of Daoist practice. And then it's also a physical activity. If we can achieve not to put ourselves above others, then we are starting to become an immortal. In the Tao Te Ching, when Lao Tzu talk about the three treasures of daily practice or daily transmission, as Xing Dao Sanbao, the three treasures of the Daoist transmission, is the Ci Jian and Bu Ba Wo Fan Zai Tian Qian. Ci means actually being merciful. Jian means being simple, having a simple lifestyle. Having enough. If I have more than enough, then I also can share with others. It's very simple, a simple lifestyle. And The third one is 不把我放在天前. 不放在天前 means don't put yourself above the heaven. So don't put yourself above others means being humble, or let others go first. It's very simple. And this is how every one of you can practice these type of practices. Very simple. And the bowing ritual is actually all this together. If I bow down, I do it 3 times, usually to honor the 3 treasures. And there's also bowing rituals when I do, for example, fasting. I did before every day couple hundred of times to bow down. Also, is because it's a physical activity, but not too tiring. When you do fasting, you cannot do like hard labor work, but the bowing is a very good way of doing it. So in the morning ceremony, we usually, in the morning, and this is also very interesting, in the morning the sun is rising, we are having a growing of the yang energy. So this is why we do the connection to the deities in the morning. It's the yang ceremonies or yang rituals. And in the evening we are connecting with the netherworld. So we are praying for the suffering souls and their suffering. And in the noon ceremony, here we also list the noon ceremony, we have this transition of yang into yin during the noon time. And there we also pray for blessing, but also for avoiding calamities and also pardon the sins. 赐福, 祈福, 解厄, and 赦罪 means all these 3 parts of the noon ceremony. Pardon the sins is very important because as a practitioner we are also taking or receive usually over the period, then later when we do the Gui, maybe the first thing we need to find is a master who is taking us as a disciple, as a student. As a disciple, it's not a student. A disciple receives transmission, because in the Daoist tradition it is there is a standard from school to school that's different, but in the school I inherited or I represent, we usually have this rule of disciples. They do the Baishi, the disciple initiation, and then over a period of time they learn, and then they learn more and more, and over some years of 考验时间, it's like probation time, and then they can get another initiation which is called the Guanjin. And the Guanjin actually is when they receive precepts as well. Receiving precept is when somebody is taking an oath, for example, and say, I will not kill, or to kill is actually also against the law, so we want to abide by the law, right? So the precepts is based on 5 most fundamental precepts. It's like not killing, not stealing, and these kind of things. Actually, yesterday, or the day before yesterday, I published an article on daoworld.org. So if you follow me on Facebook or on these social medias, you probably saw that post, or if you haven't, you can just also look at the website about the 3 refuges. And this article also includes the 5 precepts and also the 10 virtuous deeds. So a Daoist wants to create a Daoist character. We want to have a humble being, or want to be a humble person or a humble being, create a very good character, doing good deeds, do good things for others. Don't ask anything in return if we help somebody. This is all things a Daoist would do. And these kind of things we learn from the scriptures. That's why the scripture practice, or the ceremonies, we call ceremonies because there's a whole ceremony going on when we also which also includes reciting the scriptures. For example, the morning and evening liturgy starts with singing a music melody which invites the deities or the gods to join us and be part of this ceremony. And then we start incantations to protect this area, to practice and cultivate every day. And in the morning liturgy we practice the 8 big incantations. They also include a lot of practices. These practices, they help us to develop spiritual powers or skills, Daoist skills or methods we can use in other parts. For example, a talisman drawing. When I draw a talisman, I need to be able to put spiritual energy in there. Otherwise, this talisman is just a piece of paper, and it doesn't have any good thing on there. I need to invite the spirit into this talisman symbol and empower this talisman so it has the benefit it's supposed to have. So the person who carries it is protected by this deity, is protected by the spiritual energy. So to cultivate, to develop this, 新锐来了，哎呀，你来了真好。To cultivate this, we also need to practice this on a daily basis. That's why the scriptures is one part, incantations and melodies is the other part, and then rituals like this Sangui, what I just mentioned, is part of the morning and evening liturgy, and also the noon liturgy, or the noon ceremony. So, like I said, the morning is connecting to the deities, the evening is connecting to the ghosts or to the underworld. The noon ceremony is connecting to the earth realm or to the human realm. Because Daoism or Daoists, they want to connect or have a connection with the 3 Sanyuan. It's called the Sanyuan. It's the Shen, Gui, and Ren, or Shen Ren Gui. It's the 3 connections. It's the gods, the human, and the ghost. Because ghosts we call souls, right? The lost souls. They also need to find their way home, and we can help them to end the suffering in wherever they are. So the Baidou ceremony is another thing. Baidou is what we do monthly. Actually, it's a standard for monthly 2 times, on the 3rd and 27th every lunar month, because on these days we believe that the Beidou Qiyuan Zhenjun descending to earth. So Beidou Qiyuan Zhenjun is what? I just talk about the spirits or the souls or the Shen of the stars. And there is 7 stars, which is the 7 stars of the Big Dipper, have a very big influence on our life. And Daoists believe that according to their birth date, we can also find their guardian or personal fate guard or guardian angel, however you want to call this. It's called the Benming Xingjun in Chinese. And this Benming Xingjun, or personal fate guardian of our fate, is one of these 7 stars. And during this Baidou or Beidou Jing is the scripture we are using, and we call Baidou because we honor the stars. Dou means actually the Beidou, the stars. There's also other Dou, but here we call for the Beidou the North stars, or the Northern Star constellation, which is the Big Dipper. In English it's called the Big Dipper, I think. So the personal fate guardian is called the Benming Xingjun, and on this occasion we believe that we can also connect with the Benming Xingjun, show our respect, and therefore end or avoid calamities, problems or catastrophes we happen to appear in our daily life. So there's also, in a bigger ceremony, there's also talisman involved when we do this ritual. we draw a talisman, and these talismans are special for avoiding these calamities, avoiding these problems. There's problems of this. Also, an article about this on the Dao world. If you want to go looking a little bit more deeper into this part, there's an article on daoworld.org, and it's also explained, and you can also find who is actually your personal faith deity, and there is a name for each of these deities. We don't want to go into much detail now. Also a little bit to look on the time, because we're supposed to learn more, not only Baido. Okay, so this ceremony is very important for every Daoist practitioner to connect with their personal faith deity. And some people also ask us to do it for them as a long distance. This is what we do here also as a service. We do service, but the Yuzhenguan actually is not only for doing services for people during these kind of ceremonies, doing ceremonies for locals or for long distance, but we also teach. And this is a major part of this college, Daoist college here in the Yuzhenguan. We are teaching the students how to do the ceremonies by themselves. So over the last 3 or 4 years, we already taught many people in the West, over 20-30 students. They are already able to do the ceremony by themselves. And I have students on every continent, basically. Everyone in the world is able to do this. And in the West, not many people know this kind of ceremonies or practices. In our program, we have 4 semester basic ceremonies, and this is the morning, evening, and noon ceremony. Then we also have a master class. Actually, later I'm going to show a little bit. The master class include the Gaogong ceremonies. Gaogong ceremonies is different than the morning and evening ceremonies or daily ceremonies. The Gaogong ceremonies include much more rituals, much more things to learn as a student, but actually you can achieve a lot of things with this. We have, for example, blessing rituals. We have rituals where we can expel evil. We have rituals where we can ask for healing. We can have rituals for ask for protection. We can have rituals where students get A notes and get a very good exam. All these kind of things we can ask from the deities, and they support or they are listen to the commanding priest, because he has a connection to the deities. Doing the rituals correctly will have a very good outcome. So our Daoist study program actually includes, here we go to the second one first, ceremony study program. This is like the what I just mentioned. We have 4 semester, which includes the morning. Morning is 1 semester, 6 months. Evening ceremony is 1 semester, 6 months. Noon is 1 semester, and Beido or Baido ceremony is 1 semester. Then the 5th semester is actually ritual music. This is the semester where you learn a lot of music and the very details of the instruments, all instruments which is necessary to master first or learn first before we start master class, which is Gaogong. Because a good Gaogong, a good priest, needs to know the music, needs to know all the melodies, needs to know all the scriptures before we start with all the rituals and all this high priest teachings and studies. We need to learn all the most basic and fundamental. And we start from the beginning. Actually, there are some students, they not start with the morning class, but they start with the evening class or Beido Jing. This is also no problem. But you cannot start with the ritual music, because everything you learn here is based on these 4 semesters. So this is a very structured study plan. So the Gaogong or master class is actually what we developed, and sorry, in between we also have exams. So everyone who passed the exam also gets certification. So besides the ceremony study program, we do have a Daoist study group which is weekly and is an open group. So this is, you can join or leave anytime. And the Daoist study group actually we are talking, or I'm teaching many topics. Every time we have a certain topic. Sometimes we have a presentation, sometimes we have a thing we can practice. But basically it's an open group where we have the opportunity or option to talk about topics you also want to choose or the students choose. And just a couple classes ago we did some explanation of certain scriptures, or learn a specific theory, or just 2 classes ago, I remember, if I'm not wrong, talking about some Daoist medicine, basic knowledge, and it's actually something for everyone. So a lot of students join this class, and we like to share more of the knowledge on a wider scale. So this is also very low cost. It's actually all this study group is for introduce more Daoist philosophy, religion, and culture practices to all the people. The ceremony study program is focused on a specific thing, and the Daoist study group is an open group and study group. Very interesting. So then we have also a talisman course, which is now webinar based, and we have also video programs for each of our courses. We also have video programs, basically teaching all the details with explanations and study material. Basically, I want to show to you some of the study materials. Besides these kind of scriptures, this is original text to place at home. If you are able to read this, you can also use that. We have in our study material actually like books like this, which is the scriptures. This is the morning evening scriptures, this is the noon scripture, and this is the Daoism scripture. This is for the four scriptures we start with for the first 4 semester. And here is again the Chinese. I don't know if you see that, right? Chinese with pinyin. Pinyin is the translation of the words in Latin characters, but this also includes the English translation. So all the books, all the scriptures, all the courses include translations, so you understand what you're reading or what you're practicing. This is also very important. And these are the basic books. So we also have like Daoist music and internal cultivation. Some of the books, here is some scriptures, Daoism. These are the major books. There's also a few more, but this is what I just prepared to show. So we prepared also a manual, which is for the Daoist talisman study, and in a couple days there's a talisman webinar for the fundamentals. So we're using study materials with all the details. Yeah, this is how we teach our students. So then the major practice book is this. We have for our students, we have the Liu Ping Xianjing. This is what we give away. Actually, there's a stack of already prepared books to send out. Recently, we made a post or made a public announcement. So we give away free scriptures, and if you have not reached out to me, and we are going to send you a free. Everything is free. The book and the shipping, we are already got this covered. It's because we are doing this every couple months, sending out scriptures to whoever want to receive a scripture. This is a practice book. This doesn't include the translation. But translations are also available on the Dao World blog, so daoworld.org is probably the place where you can find a lot of content and knowledge and translations, and this is what the German Daoist Association and the Daoist College of the Yuzhongguan is working on, and some of my colleagues, they also help us to do this work. So we are actually giving away like 40 or 50 scriptures this time, so if you want to receive one, you can just reach out, and now there's a chat. All courses, yes, all courses are online. We have local courses as well. We have local courses, which is this year we start again after the pandemic. We have local courses. Before the pandemic, we have students come from all around the world, from Taiwan, from England, from America, from all countries in Europe. And the local courses in this year, they are also, in the moment I'm going to show you the course plan for the coming courses. Local courses also this year, we don't only do the morning and evening liturgy, but this is an intensive course, which is, the first is I think at the beginning of August. It's for 10 days. People can stay here and study in the Yuzhongguan, and within the 10 days they're gonna learn the complete ceremony. Is 6 hours plus practice and teaching or classes every day, plus free practices and so on. So we have actually this local courses. Before the pandemic, we had students already very happy join this class, and now we want to also start again after the pandemic, after everybody can travel again. And the second one is the evening ceremony. This is for 7 days because it's a little bit shorter, it's a little less content, 7 or 8 days. And the other classes we have is all online, like the Talisman course, the internal practices, the ceremony study program, and the Daoist study group. In a moment I'm going to show and share also the online college, basically the website, how to do it. So back to the Daoist talisman, we have the Daoist talisman practice, and when you want to, like I just said, you want to draw a talisman which has a benefit to the person who carries this, needs to use incantations, needs to have the correct drawing of the symbols, drawings or symbols. Sometimes it's like a picture, sometimes it's characters. So you need to practice how to use the brush and how to use the ink. The tools, there's also tools we use, is a seal stamp, for example. It has a specific seal on here, and this seal is actually for the 玄武打的 talisman. So we use only this seal for specific talisman. Then there's other seals. For example, this one here is also for a specific seal. Also 玄武打的. Then I'm just showing a few. This is a seal with 6 sides, and this is a little smaller one. It's made of copper. I just received recently from my master to use. But these are all tools, like a brush, like the ink. We use cinnabar ink or black ink to use for the tools. And the talisman study program is divided actually into 3 parts, but today I only want to introduce 2 parts, because the third one is also include rituals and what many people will refer as the Daoist magic, but we call this spiritual practice or spiritual rituals. So the talisman study program now is webinar based, because it takes only a few hours to teach, and the study materials also can receive video and so on, but it needs practice. So everybody needs, who wants to study and use the talisman, they need to practice a lot. So my talisman are working very, very well. So whatever I draw on a paper, it is useful. And just show you a few of this talisman I prepared for some students recently. They look like this, and these talisman are for protection and success. And these talisman, they are the person who's carrying this, they will have the benefit of this specific talisman. Some are for healing, some are for protection, and there is many talisman. They are also burned or carried on the body and so on. So we have the first is the fundamental program. When we talk about fundamentals, we always say we need to learn the most basic things. And in a moment, and if you stay with me, in a moment I'm going to show you and teach you a talisman, a symbol you can use for daily practice. And using it together with incantation will even be more beneficial. So in the fundamentals program, we learn how to use the incantation and the talisman symbol. Of course, there's much more included because you learn what tools we use. We need to understand there's a specific seal for every talisman. Some sets of talisman like we use in this is actually 3 volumes of study programs. This is what we do. So these 3 manuals or study practice, study manuals, study materials, they use one set of seal stamp. A seal, like you would understand in Western terms, seals something on that. So this seal stamp is finally sealing the spirit or the spiritual officer or the spirit, the deity on this paper. Talisman can also draw in water, can also draw in the air. There's many different things you can do with talisman. Some people, they also use talisman, draw with the tongue on the gum during a ritual. This is all more advanced techniques. So in the fundamental program, we need to learn, okay, what is the tools? The tools are brush, ink, paper, and seal stamp. And what are the things we do, or what is besides these hardware tools? What software we use is incantation and practice. We practice not only the incantation but also the connection with the deity. For example, there is a deity here in this talisman is Ru Yi Fu. Ru Yi Fu is used, a specific deity is called the Zhao Gongming. Zhao Gongming is the god of wealth, but he's the god of success also, right? So when we want to be successful with our work, or we can also worship Zhao Gongming Yuan Shuai. And we need to know what seal stamp we use. So like I said, in our program we only use one set of seal stamp. It's actually also very subtle, imprinted in here. Yeah, now you can see here, inside here, you see there's a little seal. So talisman works on paper, works on other things. I thought I have a thing here, but it's a different thing. No, it doesn't have it on the back. So sometimes you have like amulet or some things you wear. There's a talisman on there, or you have like we have a T-shirt or something like this. You can also wear. They have, because the symbols, a talisman or fu lu is what we use, and the symbol is already empowered with the spiritual energy. to get the most benefit out of this is to invite, the priest invites the spirit to live in there. So when you just draw the symbol, it has an effect, already has an effect. But the priest invite the deity to live in this thing, it has more benefits. So when we are going to invite the deity during the ritual, the priest or the practitioner needs to know how to do this. So this is all what we learn during the fundamental. And the advanced program is basically building on that, because there's more complex talisman, there's more to learn about the fulu. There is different fulu from the thunder department. They are used for healing, for expel evil, for protection, for blessing, and so on. So we use the more advanced techniques in the advanced program. So that's why we have these 3 volumes or three books or three manuals to learn with, to study with. So the internal arts is the third part what I want to introduce today. And most of you know the internal art as an internal martial art. Martial art like Tai Chi Chuan or Bagua or Xing Yi Chuan is very well known in the West from also different schools, and the Wudang tradition or the Wudang Pai, they also include this 3 martial arts, Tai Chi Chuan, Bagua and Xing Yi Chuan. But in fact, everything we can do is internal art if we practice it internally. So let's start here with the first point, is the meditation. Okay, meditation is such a general term which can be broken down into several parts or several departments. People in the West know meditation as sitting down and breathing technique, and focusing the mind. Actually, focusing the mind and breathing is 2 different things in the Daoist practices. It's a Tuna Gong and Yi Gong. Tuna means breathing. It's a breathing method. So when we are starting with the meditation, I don't like to use the term meditation because it's too general. In Daoist terms, we use the Da Zuo as the big sitting. We're sitting down, but the sitting down can do so many things. I just sit there and I practice scriptures internally. This is not sitting in forgetfulness, which is called the Zuo or Jing Zuo, sitting in stillness. These are all different types of sitting practice or internal practice. That's why instead of meditation, I like to use it as internal practice, internal or Neigong. Internal work or internal practice is called a Neigong because it's practiced internally. Like a Qigong. Qigong is also energy work or Qigong working with your Qi. You can do it with movements. Doing all type of movements, like in Tai Chi. Tai Chi, practiced correctly, is always Qigong, but Qigong is not necessarily Tai Chi, right? Tai Chi Chuan. So Qigong can also be practiced in stillness, like Zhanzhuang or sitting. If I sit down or lie down, I can also practice Qigong if I focus my mind. Use the Yi Gong, I focus the mind. Yi is the mind. And I use the breathing. This is the 2 major factors for internal practice, or the Qigong or internal methods. Is the breathing. I need to breathe in harmony. I need to have a harmonious breathing. I inhale, exhale. And the focus of the mind. And I can use my mind to do a lot of activities while my body is still. So that's why it's called stillness practice or Neigong, because you do your activities internally. You work inside. For example, you can do incantations practice, or many people, they sit and practice their forms, their Taiji form, and because they use the mind very focused, if they practice it with movements, it's all of a sudden it gets so much better. Why? Because they use the mind to practice and not only repeat the movement like a robot. If I use the mind, I can do a lot of things with this. If I sit in stillness, I can relax. I can harmonize my breathing, so my body is open. I'm open and still. So I can use my mind, either focus on the breathing, which is called the Tuna Gung. We can focus on the breathing, and then therefore we gain qi energy. It's called the qi chang. Qiang, it's strong energy body. This is then qigong practice, right? So internal practice is can we use for qigong practice. But I also can use the internal method, sitting in stillness or standing. Also, I can stand in any position and recite my incantations. First step, of course, is to memorize that. I memorize the incantations so I can practice them. I recite them internally. And this is also a major basic practice for the talisman practice. Reciting the incantations internally every day for many times, maybe 40-50 times a day, for 40-50 days. And then we can also do our gain our skills, or develop our skills. Internal rituals is a different thing. We can use a complete method. We practice and just sitting there. From outside you cannot see what we do there. And today, like I just said, I want to teach you a thing you can use as a talisman, but also use in your internal practice, internal method. It's called the Jingguang Fa, or part of the Jingguang Fa. Jingguang Fa. The internal rituals, they can be, this is only a major and general description of what is internal arts. We can also go into more details, but I think the time is also limited for today, so we are going to focus a little bit on these parts, on these points. Internal martial arts, of course, we can also talk for the end of the day only from Taiji Chuan and what we can do with Taiji Chuan. But as a general introduction of Daoist practices, the internal rituals are maybe a little bit more interesting to you. So when we are sitting down, and now maybe you need to make notes. Okay, so I'm teaching now something. If we are sitting down, we just need to relax first, and either we sit on the chair or sit on the floor. The most important thing is you need to sit very comfortable. You see, some people, they force themselves to sit in lotus, or sit half lotus, or sit however straight, and this and that. Or standing method is the same. It takes a while to sit very relaxed in the lotus position, or stand like a Huyan Zhuang, standing this position, Zhan Zhuang. It takes time to practice this, and this is what we call Xia Gongfu. It needs to practice and eat some bitterness. So over the time it gets better, and we can benefit from this odd kind of position. At first it's odd, it feels not comfortable, but the trick is, if you want to, from the first time, to get the most benefit out of your practice, you sit, stand, or lie down, so you are most comfortably. Most comfortable. If you feel more comfortable leaning against the wall, it's okay, you know. The only problem you're gonna have is if you're too comfortable and you cannot focus your mind, you're gonna fall asleep. It's very simple. So falling asleep is not the correct practice. So if you fall asleep, you try it the next time, try it again, not to fall asleep. So we are focusing on our breathing. This is the major basic, and it's called the 说心源, locking the monkey in the heart. And if we lock the monkey in the heart, means the mind is the monkey, cannot focus, jump from here to there all the time, cannot focus on one thing for longer than a moment. And we use our igung, our mind, to focus on one thing and one thing only, which is the breathing, inhale, exhale. And we count our breath. How often we count it? We say the first number is 50. So when you sit down and relax, prepare very well, or you sit on the chair or you stand, it's all up to you. You need to be very comfortable. Relax. Only when the body is relaxed, the qi can flow freely. If I tense up like this, the qi cannot go up, and it's just not comfortable. It's hurt. Letting go of all the tensions. 放松, letting go. So this is the first step for the internal art, internal practice. We need to relax, we let go, and we harmonize our breathing. The mind, focus on the breathing. We inhale, follow the air through the lung, through the throat, through the lungs, filling up the lungs, filling up all the lungs. And we imagine it goes down to the belly button, to the qi hai, or what many people refer as the dantian. Actually, dantian needs to be built. It's not just there. We need to build the dantian to work with it. But we call this dantian to make it simple now. And then we follow it back. We hold for a moment the breath, and then we follow it back. The slower we breathe, the better. So you can count to 50, and if you miscount, you start from 0 again. And if you only have the slightest doubt, you start from 0 again. So we don't breathe, and this is the major tip I give you. We don't breathe like very fast. We breathe very slowly, and every time we only count one number, not like repeat the number over and over in our mind. This is not focusing on the breathing. This is just repeating the numbers in our mind. Okay, so we don't want to do that. We want to focus on the breathing, and over the time the mind gets more clear, so we can clear our mind, still our heart. This is the major point of the Qing Jing Jing, the scripture of the clarity and stillness, of the morning scriptures or morning liturgy, morning ceremony. So the Qing Jing Jing teach us how to become still and still your heart and clear our mind. And this method, what I just taught you, is actually how to apply this. Very simple. We just focus on our breathing. And then with our empty mind, with our clear mind and still body, then we can do a lot of internal activities. We can start meditating or sitting in stillness, try to avoid all the ideas, wild ideas. Over 3 months, 100 days of practice, you can achieve a clear mind. So this is why we call this 百日功, 100 days of fundamental practice. Okay. So when we are at the level of can focus our mind, we can use our mind for everything. For example, I teach this in the university for the students who prepare for the exam. I teach this technique because it's simple. You can do it everywhere you want. You can sit in the bus, you can sit wherever to do that. You focus your mind on the breathing so your mind gets clear. Why we cannot study so well? Because our mind is full with all the nonsense. If we can clear our mind and focus on one thing and one thing only, it's able to, or we are able to, the mind is able to memorize things and pull them back out much easier because we know where to look them, where we start them. Okay, so if you want to become smart, you need to start practice this, or you can start practice this. 好吧? So, and this is like a major technique, and then we can use this method. Actually, I need to share a different thing at the moment. Yeah, okay, so hello. Okay, I'm going to share a whiteboard. Okay, so I'm sure you see the whiteboard right now. Okay, so some of you want to learn a specific technique of talisman. Okay, so I teach you one very common technique and very well known. Maybe I have something beside me where it's on there right now. Maybe not. Okay, there's a lot of items, Daoist things around me, so sometimes I think I should show that, but in the manual of the fundamental class we also learned that part, as the first major symbol is called the Jingguan Zhuan, and Jingguan Zhuan we now can learn how to draw it, so you can just draw it with me together. I hope everybody can see. So I'm going to draw it very slowly, and it's just made of loops. So actually it's very simple. It's called the Jingguan Zhuan. It's the Zhuan. Zhuan means something which is drawn in a very loopy or circularized way. And Jingguan means the golden light. So this is also part of the internal arts program, and today I'm going to show you how to draw this talisman. So we just draw one loop, two loop, three loop. Excuse my skills, drawing skills with the mouse. So then we have another loop here, 4, 5, and 6. So then we go another circle around there. And from here we turn around, and 1, 2, 3, and we would finish here. Okay, this is how to draw it one time. And this is called the Jingguan Zhuan. Jin Guang. Oh. I hope you can read that. Jingguan Zhuan. So of course this practice needs to first learn and just practice regularly. The drawing with the brush, usually we don't use this type of brush. I don't know why I have it here right beside me. We use ink brush and hold it like this to draw in a very straight way. Don't draw it like sideways. Usually we draw it like this, circle, 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 circle. You can practice this, and this symbol over the time gets better and better, and it will help you also to cultivate the Jingguang, the golden light. Of course, I cannot explain all the details of this way of cultivation in today's webinar. There is no time, not enough time to do that. But if you're interested in learning and studying more, you can also join the webinar or the internal art courses for this specific internal ritual or internal practice. So there is another little thing. Okay. Then I need to draw it again. So there is another way of drawing this, and you can just draw it 1, 2, 3. Go here, 1, 2, 3. And then you do another 3, 1, 2, 3. And instead of stopping here, you just go back here and draw it again. Okay, so you just keep drawing this symbol 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, and then go back 1, 2, 3, and go back to the beginning, and follow this method or this direction. The direction would be, let me just use a different color to show the direction. This way. This way. This way. This way. Okay, I think this makes it clear, right? So which direction you need to go. So you always would start here at this point. This is where you start going this way. Okay. So maybe you like to do a screenshot of this, if you like, or if you haven't got a piece of paper, just make a photo with your phone. So this is called the Jingguan Zhuan, and the Jingguang means the golden light. So as we just learn how to focus our mind, you can also use this technique to, or this seal or talisman, to draw in your mind. This is also a way of practice. I would always recommend to practice this on the paper first, for like at least a couple thousand times before we use this on something, you know, in our mind, or because we need to learn how to draw this correctly. Otherwise, it will not have the benefits. Okay, so so we spoke about the courses and the practices, and gave a little introduction of Daoism. I hope there's some knowledge I could transmit to you today. And I wanted to refer, before we do our Q&A or question round, if you have questions, I wanted to show the Daoist Dao Studies website, and we can look at it together. So the website is actually www.daostudies.com. This is the Lao Tzu Daoist College website. So there's all the online courses we provide. As looks like this. Okay. So we have the online programs, we have the introduction of the Lao Tzu College, the ceremony, and all these kind of courses. So we also plan, or we had one already last year, and we are planning to have it again in the very near future, the Dao De Jing study class. So we have actually 4 type of branches or study departments. We have the ceremony study, we have the philosophy study, or the philosophical part, we have the like the spiritual part, like talisman, internal arts, and we have the culture part. For example, we have tea classes. Discover Tea is the department, and there's only webinars, and the video program is in the development. So there's only live classes with one of our teachers, If you want to learn more about our teachers, you can also look at this about us. We have several teachers. Also, the honorary headmaster of the Lao Tzu Daoist College is the Grandmaster or Great Master Ren Zhongquan, headmaster of Daoism and vice president of the Taoist Association in Wuhan. There is another teacher join us in the next month. In our program, we're gonna have an introduction course for incense culture, incense study. So the incense culture is very deep, deep culture, and good to know a lot about. So we have online programs. Daoist study group is what I would recommend to look inside if you want to learn a more wider scale of Daoist ideas or Daoist practices, knowledge. We have the ceremony program. The master class is also listed in here, but we need to start with the basic, or everybody start with the basic, and the philosophy and discover tea. So we have video courses, and here is a button. It's called members area, actually, because all the classes are recorded and the members can just watch that over and over again. And we have a member area where the study materials is shared and all these kind of things. So we have also one-on-one classes and webinars and open lectures. Like today, it's like an open lecture, or it's a webinar, but we also list it as an open lecture basically. And people who are in our email or in the email list for the open lectures, we will always invite for the free classes. There is a couple classes I'm preparing also for the very coming future. So if you're interested in learning more, so you just get in touch. And if you want to join the classes, you can also just reach out and contact me directly from the social media account or however. At the end, there's of course there's some other people who are also administrating the groups and Facebook pages, but at the end I will always get the messages. If you know my private account, then you can also reach out to my private account. If I not answer right away, you just have to forgive me and wait patiently. Sometimes it takes a couple days for me to answer messages. Okay, because I also practice every day, so a lot of things. So just to show you, I wanted to show you actually another website very quick. Okay, this is the blog, and if you haven't seen that, this is called dao-world.org, and here we have a lot of content for Daoist knowledge, Daoist calendar, scriptures, such things. So you can have a look and subscribe so you can always get the new posts. It's called Dao World. Okay. Thank you for your patience. And if you like, you can just you can answer questions, of course. I answer questions, and you can ask questions if you like. Yes, you can just unmute yourself.
Yeah, hi.
Hello.
My question is, could you describe a typical day on the course? Because it's quite long, right? It's like 6 hours a day or something. So could you explain what happens in that day?
Yeah, so maybe 6 hours is not enough for study. This in the short term. So there is basically morning ceremony every time the students come here. There is morning ceremony here every day in the Yuzhengguan. So the students who come here for this specific program, they can also join the morning ceremony. If they can practice it, they can just take part of it, or they just watch it and look at it, or just look and be the audience. And then there's classes in the morning, classes in the noon, classes in the afternoon, and classes in the evening. So every day I have like 4 classes, and in the evening there is basically like free practice. We usually have for the 10-day course we have 1 day off in between, because every 10 days there is a Wu where we don't do ceremonies, but we can have like 3-day practice and have 1 day or half day of other activities around here. There's mountain and such things, so usually you get up and join the morning ceremony, then eat breakfast, then the class start at 9. The class is probably for 2.5 hours. Then you have noon eating, lunch we call, and then have a little rest, and then you have afternoon class from 2:30 to 4 o'clock, 1.5 hour, I think it's 1.5 hour, 2 hours. Then there is the evening ceremony, and then there's also the possibility to join some Taiji class if you're in the evening, but usually the people just study in the classroom, because there's also Taiji classes going on in the evenings sometimes, most of the time. But usually in the evening there is also free practice, and if you want to eat dinner, you eat dinner between 6 and 7, and after 7 to 9 o'clock there is another class. So after this, usually people go to sleep. That's the most easy way to say this. So this is the day of the local study program. I think Ellen asked also about this a couple days ago.
And could you also share a link of what the accommodation looks like if you have such a link?
Yeah, I can share you in Messenger then.
Sure, thanks. And my final question is how do we join the study group?
The study group, okay, wait a moment. I'll just go back to this page. So the study group you can join is actually every month, or every day basically. You can just, we have a monthly fee of 30 euros. It's like for €1 a day you can basically join this program. This is like a study program with a lot of students from all around the world. We talk about theory, scriptures, culture, practice, ceremonial healing, and so on, all type of topics. And I'm very open for any topic you want or the students want me to talk about. There is actually the registration link here. You just register here and either pay monthly or 1 year. And also, if somebody wants to leave the course, they can also leave anytime. This is nothing to no like kind of how to say, you need to sign up for a year or something like this. You can sign up for a month and then try it out, or if you like, you can just sign up for a year anytime. Okay, so also the local course, there is no photo of the accommodation right now. So, but the accommodation is also limited because we have only limited beds, and to sign up for the course is not necessary to get the bed, but there is also accommodation for like cheap money nearby, like a hotel, not so expensive. There are hotels also more like in the higher range, so it doesn't, it depends on what the people need. So this is actually, I can try to send you some photos of the accommodation later. Okay, Maya, thank you for joining. Okay, she's already gone. She just wrote in the message she needs to go. Okay, so if there is any more questions, we can just answer the questions if you have. Yes, okay, Alan. Let's talk on the chat. I will find some good photos for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, if we have more questions, you can just ask. I'm going to share this video on our YouTube channel in the future. So if some people, because there is a lot of people, they ask me to share the replay because they are working or this is not a good time. So maybe in the future we can also adjust the time a little bit. But I had a whole day of work to do outside of the temple today. That's why we just put it in the evening. Now it's about 9:20 in Germany. Yes, Regina, thank you for joining us. And if you guys, there's another chat. Okay, maybe I just keep this open. Okay, if anyone has some questions, just can ask now about Daoist practices, not only about the courses, but anything you want to ask, you can just ask now about Daoism, Daoist practices. That's the awkward silence now. Okay, wonderful. So no more questions. However, then I appreciate your time and I hope you enjoyed today's class. Please look at our websites regularly for new updates, or just sign up for or subscribe to our website, the blog, and sign up for the open lectures so we can have you in the email list. So we can send you some invitation the next time we have such a class. If you're interested in joining the courses, you're also welcome to email us and ask more questions if necessary. And I appreciate your time, and I hope to see you again. Wish you a good night or good day wherever you are in your far. 慈悲福生无量